Here we go with part 3. Maybe at this point you've finished this puzzle all by yourself. If so, congratulations. If not, let's go ahead and finish it together. So I'm pretty sure when we left off last, we did this first column and realized that we had it all figured out. We now have our 8. We still don't know if the 8 is going to go from the top to here. Oh, wait a minute. If it goes from the top to here, that would be a 9. So I think we've already figured out, based on the markings we have here, that it can't be at the very top. So I'm going to put a dot right here. So it has to either start here and go here, or start here and go to the bottom. We don't know yet which, so I'm sure we'll find out. The next one, we're supposed to have a group of 2 and then a group of 6. Right now we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still don't think we know where that's going. The next one, we're supposed to have a 1 and a 5. The 5 is already done. We don't know where the 1 is, here or here. Moving on, done with those 2 rows. Next, we already have our 4. We don't know where the 1 is. Next, we need a 2 followed by a 2. Well, let's look at this a little closer. Now at the bottom here, we already have 1 filled in here, and we need 2, and we know we can't go up. So we have to put 1 right there. So that fills in this bottom 2 for us. It also tells us something else, and that is that we can't fit a 2 there, so we'll put a dot there. And the other 2 is going to have to go in here somewhere. Next column, we already have a 2 here, so that one's finished without even trying. And then the top 2 has to include this square. So it's either going to be 1, 2 or 1, 2. That means this one has to be a space. Okay, and then our last one is a 6. Last time we came through the columns, we only had these 2 for sure. But now that we have another one, we know that our 6 has to include that space right there. And not only that, those are filled in. So the 6 has to start there and go upward. That means we can fill in 2 more spaces for our 6. And the 6 is done. Let's put a check mark over the 6 and put dots at the top, because that will help us in other places. All right, I did the columns again. Now I'm going back to the rows. So my first row is supposed to have 6. Well, look at that. There's 2 dots there, and there's 2 dots there. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 between. That tells me that I'm done with that one as long as I fill in all 6 of those spaces. Oops, I did it again. Fill in all 6 of those spaces. Technical difficulties, I apologize. Look, my 6 is all done. So go check that one off. Okay, now I need a 2 followed by a 2. I still don't know if it's going to be here or here. And I don't know where it's going to be in here, but I do know it can't go to the end, so it has to cover up that space. And that means that nothing. I think that's all we can do there. Okay, next we're supposed to have a 2 followed by a 2 followed by a 2. Well, without even trying, we have 2. We have 2 here, and we have 2 there. That row finished just by doing things the other direction. Okay, next we're supposed to have a 2, a 2, and a 1. Let's look at what we've got. We've got a 2. Check that off. Put a space there. We've got a 2 that we already checked off. And then we already have a 1 here done at the end. So I'm going to fill in those spaces, and that row is done. This one we finished previously. This one was done previously. Now we need a 7 and a 1. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That one's done without even trying. And then those are already done. You see why we checked them off, so that we don't stop and look at them. And then the 6, we just need to fill this in right here. And now we can put a dot here, and that row is done. Let's go back to our columns. Column 1 is done. Column 2 needs to have 8. We have a dot here, so we know the 8 has to go here. So now we know exactly where the 8 is here. And we can check that one off. So done. Then we need to have a 2 followed by a 6. We accidentally finished that one when we were working on other things. Next one is supposed to have a 1 and a 5. We already have our 1, so that's a space, and that's finished. Those are done. Move on past them. We need a 1 followed by a 4. We already have a 1. Put our dot there. We're supposed to have a 2 followed by a 2. That one's already done. We're supposed to have a 2 followed by a 2. There's only one place to put that 2, and that is in that spot right there. So now that one has our 2 and our 2 done, and our 6 was already done. And even though over here we haven't put any checks on this row, if we go back to this row now from the things we filled in this direction, we've now finished this as well. So I gave myself one too many, which I might use over here. Or we can change the color, see if it'll let me. It's not letting me. Aha, there we go. So I have finished my first puzzle. Sometimes you have to back up a little bit to see what they really look like. And to me, it looks like it's supposed to be like one of those yin-yang things. So I wonder what our next one will look like and if you can try this one on your own. Just remember to kind of look for bigger numbers. Now this one's tricky. It doesn't have really a lot of bigger numbers, which is going to make things harder. So we're going to have to look at the rows or columns that have multiple numbers in them. For example, this one right here has the biggest number on the whole thing, which is a 5. I think the thing that makes this one hard is that there's no numbers bigger than a 5. Like there's a 5, but there's nothing bigger than a 5 that's going to overlap like our 8s and 6s did on our first puzzle. So now we're going to have to look at rows that have numbers that add up to more than 5, like this one here, a 2 and a 5. So the way that we count through problems like that, and you know what, instead of trying to move these blocks around, I'm just going to color. I'm going to go to my crayon or my highlighter and just kind of fill things in. That didn't change to my highlighter though, did it? If I start to write, I feel like we've kind of frozen up here. So maybe that's a sign to stop this video and start a new one.